The Three Little Trigs, Chapters 7.5 and 7.6, Tangent, Sine, and Cosine Ratios. Once upon a time, there were three little Trigs. Their names were Tan, Cos, and Sin. They all lived within the town of Sokotoa. Sin, the youngest pig, lives on the corner of So Street. Cos lives on the corner of Cut Drive, and Tan, the oldest pig, lives on the corner of Toa Road. This is a map of Sokotoa showing where the pigs live. The pigs planned to eat dinner at their parents' house at 6 o'clock p.m. They were all afraid to walk alone, except for Tan. So, Tan agreed to walk and pick up Cos and Sin, then they would all walk to their parents' house. Tan must do some research to figure out what time he must leave his house to pick up his brothers and still make it to their parents' house by 6 o'clock. Tan knows that where So Street and Co Drive meet, it forms a perpendicular intersection, creating a right angle. He also knows that at the intersection of 1st and 2nd Street, it forms a right angle. He knows that where Co Drive and Toa Road meet, it forms a 65-degree angle. He also knows that where Pig Freeway and 2nd Street intersect, it forms a 50-degree angle. He found out that Toa Road is 0.5 miles long and Pig Freeway is 0.25 miles long. Tan first decided that he would walk to Cos's house. After that, Tan and Cos would walk to Sin's house. Then they would all walk back to Tan's house, and from there they would all walk to their parents' house for dinner. Tan knows Toa Road is 0.5 miles long, but he needs to find out how long Co Drive and So Street are. First, Tan will find the length of So Street. Using Sokotoa, it says to use sine. The sine ratio is opposite over hypotenuse. The equation is sine of 65, the angle, equals x, the opposite side, over 0.5, the hypotenuse. To get x by itself, Tan must multiply both sides of the equation by 0.5. This will cancel out the 0.5s. Now he knows that x equals 0.5 times the sine of 65. When he plugs this into his calculator, he finds out that the length of So Street is 0.45 miles long. Now Tan knows the length of So Street, which is 0.45 miles long, and the length of Toa Road, which is 0.5 miles long. He will now have to find the length of Co Drive. Now Tan will find the length of Co Drive. Using Sokotoa, it says to use the cosine. The cosine ratio is adjacent over the hypotenuse. The equation is the cosine of 65, the angle, equals x, the adjacent side, over 0.5, the length of the hypotenuse. To get x by itself, Tan must multiply both sides by 0.5. Then the 0.5s cancel out, leaving you with x equals 0.5 times the cosine of 65. When Tan plugs this into his calculator, he finds that the length of Co Drive is 0.21 miles long. Tan now knows the length of So Street, which is 0.45 miles long, the length of Toa Road, which is 0.5 miles long, and the length of Co Drive, which is 0.21 miles long. Tan already knows that Pig Freeway is 0.25 miles long. He now needs to find the length of 1st Street and the length of 2nd Street. Tan will now find the length of 1st Street. Using Sokotoa, it says to use sine. The sine ratio is the opposite side over the hypotenuse. The equation is the sine of 50, the angle, is equal to x, the opposite side, over 0.25, the hypotenuse. To get x by itself, Tan must then multiply both sides of the equation by by 0.25. By doing this, both of the 0.25s will cancel out, leaving you with the equation x equals 0.25 times the sine of 50. When Tam puts this in his calculator, he finds out that First Street is 0.19 miles long. Now, Tan knows the length of Pig Freeway, which is 0.25 miles long, and the length of First Street, which is 0.19 miles long. Now, all he has to do is find the length of Second Street. Finally, Tan will find the length of Second Street. Using SOHCAHTOA, it says to use cosine. The cosine ratio is the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. In this case, the equation is the cosine of 50, the angle, is equal to x, the adjacent side, over 0.25, the length of the hypotenuse. To get x by itself, Tan must multiply both sides of the equation by 0.25. By doing this, both of the 0.25s cancel each other out, leaving you with the equation x equals 0.25 times the cosine of 50. When Tan puts this into his calculator, he finds out that Second Street is 0.16 miles long. Tan now knows that Pig Freeway is 0.25 miles long, First Street is 0.19 miles long, and Second Street is 0.16 miles long. Now he can figure out the distance to his parents' house. Tan now knows the lengths of all the roads he'll be traveling on. Toa Road is 0.5 miles long, Cut Drive is 0.21 miles long, So Street is 0.45 miles long, First Street is 0.19 miles long, and Second Street is 0.16 miles long. This shows Tan's route. He will first travel 0.5 miles along Toa Road to go pick up Kos. Then Kos and Tam will both travel 0.21 miles along Cut Drive to go pick up Sin. From there, all three pigs will travel along So Street for 0.45 miles until they reach Tan's house. From Tan's house, they will travel 0.19 miles along First Street. And then, finally, they will travel 0.16 miles until they reach their parents' house on Second Street. When you add all these distances together, they will travel a total of 1.51 miles. The average pig can travel 2 miles per hour. If the pigs will have to walk 1.51 miles to get to their parents' house, they must leave 45.3 minutes early. So Tam must leave his house no later than 5:14 p.m. to reach his parents' house by 6 o'clock p.m. for dinner. The confusing part about tangent, sine, and cosine ratios is remembering which ratio to use. Just remember to use SOHCAHTOA. And don't forget that tangent, sine, and cosine ratios only work with right triangles.